Hello and welcome to the Southbound Sports Show. I'm your host, Richie Leahy, here with my co-host, Matty B. And we had a crazy week of, I guess, games or sports, because maybe baseball's back in for playoffs, but the Steelers had that, it was the Ireland game in Dublin. And I like how the announcers called out like some of the things that the league's doing, where they were like, yeah, they before the game, they had like cards and like videos on the board trying to explain the rules. And I think they should do that for like a lot of games, because how many people just go and they barely watch on TV and they have no idea what's going on. And you always hear people around you like booing or yelling, and they're like, what was that? And it's very clearly like a penalty that you've seen, like, yeah, his face mask, dude, his head like got ripped off. And they're like, bullshit. And they're like yelling. And you're like, oh my gosh, dude, just be quiet. So I feel like that's something that should carry them across. But I was surprised by how well Wentz played, because honestly, I forgot that he was even the Vikings quarterback. And I don't know if it's a rookie thing, but the Vikings line, or maybe it's just the time together, because they usually say it takes 5 or 6 weeks for the line to gel. But the Vikings line looked better than what it has in the past. So I'm wondering what the Vikes are going to do. Do they stick with Wentz for a little bit longer and let JJ heal? Is JJ really that injured? Are they letting the line get healed? Like, I don't know what you do at this point. Because on the other hand, in terms of like quarterback swapping, the Giants bench Russell Wilson. Jackson Darts gets them a big win, right? Big upset win over the Chargers. And now you're looking at a quarterback controversy, like even in Pittsburgh. If Pittsburgh would have just stuck with Russell Wilson for another year, they wouldn't have had a Dart, right? Like, they would have no one to go with. It would have just been a waste of a year. Because Russell hasn't looked good. I've seen him throw some balls, and they're like, some of his deep balls just hang now, which we've seen. We've seen for like 3 or 4 years now. It gets worse as the season goes on. But I'm glad that, is it Daboll is their Giants coach?
Yeah.
He came out and was like, no, it's my decision, because he knows he's going to get fired, dude. Like, if the ownership's, then they were like, he announced he has cancer, like Mara. And they're like, oh yeah, he announced he has cancer. They didn't say what kind. And so I'm like, are you going to start speculating what kind of cancer he has on the game? Like, broadcast? It's like the weirdest thing. I know they have to talk about it. I also don't like that kind of stuff either, where they're like giving you personal information about the owners. Like they really had a great part in the league when really they're just bankrolling it, right? They're not helping the team win. Most owners stink, probably. Right? So they're not like stand-up guys. In most cases, look at Robert Kraft and his off-the-field stuff. But I feel like, is it written into the TV contracts where they have to be nice to these owners? I don't know. But I will say that... It's
kind of like if somebody is paying all of your bills, you probably want to be nice to them.
Yeah, but that's the kind of stuff that means that you're going to have a biased representation. Because it's like, for whatever reason, I keep getting these, probably because I keep getting these WNBA ads. So where they're like, everyone knows Angel Reese stinks, right? Can't shoot. I saw one for like the new NBA 2K or whatever it is, where she's like in there and it has her like shooting a bunch of shots. And I was thinking, who in their right mind would play as her? Because no one likes to play when the guy's like shot meter is like 100 miles an hour. Like, you know, like you get a poor kicker. Like that's what it would be like playing as her. Otherwise, the game would be like a lie, right? She's not a good shot at all. She's just good at rebounding. But why is she in the front? And then I keep getting these ads from like, I don't know who's writing them. I don't think it's the WNBA website, but like I've seen at least 3 different ones talking about how Angel Reese has become like a model teammate. And I'm thinking, why am I getting only Angel Reese stuff? It makes no sense. Like, are they trying to market her? I'm also concerned that like Indiana had a really good year without Caitlin Clark. And why can't Caitlin Clark play? Just take years off? Right? She's out walking around, dude. I don't know. Like, it's not like her leg's in a cast like Tyreek Hill.
Maybe it's like, hey, let's see how much money you bring in without them.
It's weird. It's weird to me because a lot of these guys too, because even like that's why I'm concerned about like the JJ thing. Does he just stink? I mean, we saw him have the comeback win. The line looked horrible, but a team could just be blitzing him knowing that he's a rookie. He's going to make bad reads, right? Throw some pick sixes and then you can win by just pressuring him the entire game. And they didn't have a run game. But with Wentz, it seemed like they were just kind of playing the base defense of Steelers. And they let him hang it around. Steelers could have buried that team. I don't understand why they let them make it a game. But what am I saying? Right? It's like Aaron Rodgers hit Metcalf. They pretended it was like the greatest play, but it was really just a post he ran or a slant. And he's like wide open. He just took it to the house. Right? Like, oh, busted play. Awesome. That's not sustainable. But I'm still sticking with my win totals. I think Steelers are 3-1 now or something like that. I really don't think that they're going to ride this out. Typically around the middle of the season when things start to fall apart. So we'll see. Maybe Aaron Rodgers can offset it. I saw him making a lot of audibles out there, and he was just kind of like pointing at Tomlin. Like it seems like Tomlin's just letting him go. And maybe that's what Aaron Rodgers needed. I mean, I've said that before, where any coach, like if you're a defensive coach, don't meddle with the offensive coach. Just like hire the best offensive coordinator you can get and let it go. Like I look at Lincoln Riley at USC and even at Oklahoma. Great offensive coach. How do you not have a functional defense at all? Right? Just get somebody in there. Like same with Iowa's like the opposite of that. Great defense. People are like, wonder if they had like a good offense. And I know sometimes like the offense feeds off the defense, but I had said it before, way back when Harbaugh was like meddling around with Don Brown and all Dr. Blitz and all that stuff. And I said, all they need to do is just run a base defense like Iowa. They have the athletes. You're going to beat most of the teams running like a bend but don't break. Then they bring in like the Raven style defense where it's kind of based on bend but don't break. And then they win the national championship. And then those same guys are having great success in the NFL. Like McDonald, Seahawks head coach, he had Marvin Harrison looking like he was going to cry on Thursday night. Right? Couldn't get open. Fumble the ball or let the ball hit off his hands, go right to the defense. Kyler Murray couldn't do anything. And then finally, they kind of just went out and did like their Sandlot thing and got the game close. I think they lost. I think the Seahawks pulled it out. So you can win with that kind of style. Let the other team drive down the field. It's hard to do, even at the NFL level. I think the teams that have the most success doing that are like the Eagles, and I think that's why it drives people nuts because they're not really passing the ball. They don't need to. They have a great running attack. And a lot of their passes are kind of just like in the flat, like let Saquon run. They're starting that thing where they're saying, hey, Brown is unhappy here. Well, okay. Does he want to win? Like, I know he got the Super Bowl. Like, do you want to keep winning or do you want to go like Tyreek Hill left the Chiefs? And I know he got injured, but he hasn't done anything really with the Dolphins. Meanwhile, the Chiefs are still making Super Bowls, whatever, without him.
Yeah.
Like at some point you have to decide, do you want to be like a Jerry Rice? People remember him because he was in a bazillion Super Bowls. I mean, he had great stats and everything, but it wasn't like he had the wow factor like a Randy Moss where, oh, this guy's like the best no matter what. Or like Calvin Johnson. No one looks at Jerry Rice like that. But he's a winner and he had all the stats and he kept playing with a good team. If you play with the Super Bowl type team for like 20 years, right, you're going to have great stats. It's not like a groundbreaking analysis here. Like if Jerry Rice would have said, you know what, I'm going to peace out. I don't want to play with Steve Young or whatever. And he went to somewhere else. Like even at the end of his career, he ended up with what? Rich Gannon and the Raiders making it to the Super Bowl. If you keep playing with winning teams, you're going to have great stats. That's just how it is going to be. Especially because like they had Niners then had like T.O. across from him. Then he had Tim Brown across from him, I think. So like if you have legendary receivers splitting receptions with you, that's even better. But I get that the Eagles don't have that stat producing offense. Like you could even say that West Coast offense wasn't really stat producing either. A lot of short passes and things like that. So I don't know. Maybe the Eagles don't need him. I mean, look at Pickens. Leaves Pittsburgh, goes to Dallas. They had that weird tie. I mean, Pickens was a big reason why Cowboys got the tie in the first place, because he won a couple like jump balls down the sideline. If they don't get Pickens, I think CD Lamb's still injured, right? Yeah, he didn't play. So, like, maybe with CD, if he was healthy and Pickens wasn't there, but without Pickens, they wouldn't have tied that game. It's weird to say, like, oh, they tied it. Great win for them. Like, that is a great win for the Cowboys. That was, like, that tie. That Packers team's pretty good. And since they made their undefeated comments, now they have one loss and a tie. Which they almost didn't even get the tie. I don't know if you saw the end. I stayed up. They get down. They're like, they want to try to do one more play. But Dobbs, like, dogs it back to the line of scrimmage as the clock's ticking, right? I think he thought they were going to spike it. And Love took one more shot to the end zone. And if the defender would have tipped it up into the air, time would have ran out. Like, because it got swatted down, there was 1 second left. Like, it was like the craziest break. Any other, like, breakup, or, I mean, if the guy caught it, time probably would have ran out because they probably would have let the 1 second come out. But because the ball, like, just dropped immediately to the ground, there was 1 second remaining for a game-tying field goal. And I thought, where's the urgency? Right? I knew you were going to run the play. Why would you just dog it back and be like, oh, we'll just take the tie? No, go for the win. What's the difference? You're in the NFL. You've got to trust your quarterback not to throw an interception. Plus, is a loss even that much worse than a tie? There's not that many ties. It's kind of weird each year, right? But I would like to see a more hustle, is what I mean. Like, I would like to have seen more hustle across the board. That's my NFL around the horn. Anything stand out to you this weekend?
I mean, I just felt like there was a lot more injuries this week with guys getting banged up. And I mean, we've kind of each week had more of a rundown list of guys that are banged up, guys that are injured. It's starting to become more and more of a league-wide issue of it's not just a sprained ankle that you're day-to-day. It's season-ending stuff that we have going on, which makes it interesting for fantasy football then, because now the gamble starts to become the race to who can claim the next running back off the waiver wires.
Yeah, we were joking before because I have Lamar. Of course, he goes down. He only had like 9 points at the time, so I lose by like 10 or 11. If he would have had his normal game, it would have been close. And instead, he like doesn't play the entire second half. Hamstring. I get the dreaded D by his name, so I can't put him on IR. They said pretty much he's out. I have Stroud as my backup. He kind of stinks this year. I could pick up Jackson Dart. He's questionable, right? So I'm like, who else is even out there? Aaron Rodgers, bye. So bye weeks are kicking in. And so now you're bidding. And I was joking, like, any running back that I know, like the starter's probably going to get injured, like McCaffrey's backup, I have on my roster already. Like, I could just go through and make sure I bid on these guys and just wait for their team to get eliminated from the playoffs. And then the backup will become the stud. I mean, I already had it happen with the Vikes, but Mason's played so well that if Jones comes back, like, I don't even think he's going to be worthy of starting. I don't know how you go back to him, right? Like, hey, we're doing much better when you injured. You're not going to come back and get 20 carries. They're going to say, no, thanks. And that's a bummer that I had, is like Mason was already picked up.
I think it's interesting when you look at how many that's always one of the issues I have with the preseason draft in our league, because there's so many running backs that it's like, who's going to be the primary running back? Like, when you look at the Chargers, there was Amari and Hampton, and there was Najee Harrison. Like, it was a coin flip of who's going to be the more productive back.
Yeah, and you hit gold with Hampton. He's the reason why you won. If he would have just had a normal week, I might have still pulled it out with Lamar even going out. So that's the thing. You got to wait and see who, like, what kind of gamble, and do you keep both guys? Because I have Williams and I have Blake Corum on my bench, and it's like if I cut Blake, I know Williams getting hurt like the next week, right? And then I'm gonna have to pay $80. And Blake's been doing good. If he scores a touchdown, like he's been running, he's averaging like 5 or 6 yards a carry. And it's like, dude, all he needs is like a little bit more carries, and I could probably be playing him in my flex, but you can't have 2 running backs from the same team that aren't a pure running team, right? So this year I went opposite. I went Lamar, and I saved my money and got a couple of number one receivers, and then I was just hoping that I had 3 running backs that I thought might be okay. Williams, Johns got injured, but then I had Pollard backing him up. And I'm still pretty good there. It's just that CJ Stroud stinks, so Nico Collins, my number one, he hasn't been as hot as he was last year. And it's not because he's open. It's not because he's not getting open. Like, he's scoring touchdowns. It's that Stroud's just not passing the ball good. I don't understand it. Like, they brought in a ton of weapons for him. And I know it's my fault for getting an Ohio State quarterback and hoping that, like, he would break the curse.
But I thought it was funny because in the same vein, I thought, oh, the Texans running back will definitely be getting touches because they'll be moving the ball and he'll have opportunities to score. And it's like, no, we're just not going to do that.
No, they don't have any offense. It's 100% Stroud because you can't say, well, we got to get you some weapons. Because I feel like if they bench him, would the offense immediately pick up? Like, I watched one game and it was horrible. He's missing guys like that were open, and he's just like throwing the ball behind him or taking a sack or leaving the huddle or leaving the pocket. So I don't know what's going on with him. But like when you're in a shootout with like the bottom of the barrel, like it's getting bad. And I don't know what they can do to fix it, but I can't like not play Nico, right? Because if he breaks 2 long touchdowns, that could win me my week. And I think he already had one great game. And it was a squeaker too. It was a squeaker. The other thing that our game would have been a lot closer, they did that new ball replay. I don't know if you saw it on the Packers game. I don't know when it was. But my tight end caught the ball, Kraft. He was in the end zone, right? But they said that the ball was like just missed, like the chip just missed the end zone chip or whatever. And so they had to put it like right, the ball was basically right up against the line. And I thought at that point, why don't you just put it in the guys in the booth and say like, he's in, right? The ball was in his arm. He had it stretched out. If he would have kept it stretched out, but right as he was falling, he pulled it in to make sure he didn't fumble it. Right. But his knee hit and the ball was actually on the line. But wherever they have the chip in the ball, because they said that they had a big thing in the Ireland game, the Steelers game, where they explained the chip and how they're doing the first downs because they had one come up. I don't know if you saw it. I forget where it was, when it was in the game. But like they show you like the virtual measurement so that the refs don't have to run out there and do it.
Yeah.
And so now you have that and it's like, all right, dude, you know they're going to score on the next play. That was like just give the guy the touchdown. He made a great play. They're going to have first and goal at like the inch. If the quarterback can't just fall in at that point, it wasn't like on the 1 or like if it would have been like even the half yard short, but it was so close that it was ridiculous that they couldn't just wave it off. Like who's going to know where the chip is, right? Because I don't know who was the announcer, but they were like, that's the closest spot I think I've ever seen them put the ball to the goal line. And it's like, yeah, a judgment call back in the day, that would have been a touchdown. And at that point, I didn't think I was going to win anyway, so I don't think it would have mattered. But I thought, like, give the guy a touchdown. Or, like, put him in at, like, fullback and let him get his touchdown after. I feel bad for some guys like that because I know Kraft already has some touchdowns this year, but what if it's like a guy that's trying to make the roster? Backup tight end, makes a great play, and they're like, you know what? Technology says, nah. Nah, not going to cut it. I'm going to tie in college just for a second because the helmet stuff has been driving me nuts. I forget which NFL game it was, but they like grabbed a face mask and the quarterback's head twisted and the announcer said, yeah, but he didn't clutch it. His hand just grazed the face mask, so it didn't count. And I thought, that's against the spirit of the rule. Like, I don't care if you just man club the guy's head and like yank his head to the side. That should be a face mask. Just because, and they didn't show the replay, of course. And I forget, I watch too many games. Everyone knows that if you listen to the show. So I don't know exactly. I should start writing these down. But then I'm going to start reading it. 3 minutes left in the first quarter. So-and-so raked his head across the guy's face. But he didn't grab it, right? He just turned his head, which turning your head it's the same as hands to the face, right? They're not saying hands to the face with a grab. So that made me think of the Penn State game where late in the game, I think it was overtime, their guy comes in head first, head down, 100% targeting, right? The Oregon guy is falling down. He puts his head down, and the review team says, well, we don't know where his hairline is to find the 6-inch spot for the crown of the head. And I'm like, dude, both of those players' heads turned. Anyone could have injured their neck immediately on that play. And I go back to, I think I sent you, Connor Stallions was posting a bunch of like clips of other comparison helmets to helmets that were called flags that weren't even close to as bad as that Penn State one. But because it was overtime, they're not going to call it, right? He misses whatever the next game. I don't even know who they play next. But I go back to, I think it was Barnum, Michigan's big D end. He had bear hugged a guy, helmet up, right? Because the quarterback was shorter, and of course he doesn't want to hit him in the shoulder because what if the quarterback throws the ball? If you're up high, you can try to knock the pass down, right? Wait last minute. They were like, oh, helmet to helmet, targeting, his helmet hit his target, but his head wasn't down at all, head up, and that's what I've been talking on the show. If it's supposed to be a safety thing, if the head goes down, targeting. Very cut and dry. I agree with Connor. I think his point was that they need to have, if they're going to do it and try to protect everyone from head hits, then you need to have like a 5-yard variant, right? The Penn State one, they don't want to give him the 15 yards and have him get the easy touchdown. Do a 5-yard, but at least and don't eject them, whatever. Like Barnum never should have been ejected from the Michigan game. If you think he hit the quarterback in the helmet, give him like the 5-yard, the lesser one. Don't eject him. Because then at that point, then Michigan had to appeal it. They were like, there wasn't enough for us to unappeal it or to take his suspension away. He missed the first half of the Oklahoma game. He's one of the best pass rushers in the country. Who knows how different the Oklahoma game would have came if Michigan had him the entire game, right? And so I get it. Big Ten refs, Big Ten conference game, two of the top teams. They don't want to eject him, but saying weird things like, well, we could have been under his hairline is not helping the cause of player safety. And how high is his hairline? Because they're talking about like LeBron headband phase back before he got his plugs or whatever happened to him. Like that's how high the helmet was up, dude. It was on top of his head. So I don't know what they were looking at, but I see the same thing in the NFL where it seems like sometimes it's holding, sometimes it's not. And holding has been driving me nuts because they don't call it at all. And what game was on last night? It was the Broncos. Horrible officiating, right? The entire game. So the Broncos guy calls for a fair catch. He bobbles the ball 3 times, dude. 3 times. The Bengals guy standing right beside him just grabs it from him because he doesn't have the ball. And then runs down, and I know you can't return it. Well, of course, they're like, whoa, we don't want players doing that. That's like bad, right? They throw the penalty, say it was kick catch interference, fair catch interference. He has a 3-yard halo around him. When that ball hit, that guy was outside of that halo. He bobbled it twice, 2-3 times. If you watch it in slow motion, it's so bad that it was an amazing play by the Bengals guy. Bengals weren't going to win that game. Right? Bengals aren't winning that game. They have a backup quarterback. They have no chance. Why take the play away from the guy? He made a hell of a play. Special teamer? Who knows? I don't even know who the guy was. But why officiate that bad? And then there was another one. Was it Aikman called it out? I don't even know who was on the call last night. But they were after the officiating, saying that, like, if this is he said it on the show, like, or during the game, that this is a bad product right now because they're not calling holding. Guys are just getting mauled out there. The fair kick, catch, whatever. They didn't even review it. Like, I would have threw the challenge flag and just been like, look, the dude bobbled it 3 times. 3 times he didn't catch it. He was out there crying to the official saying, oh, you didn't have a chance to catch it. Just catch it the first time, dude. Or the second time. Or the third time. Like, you let the guy just take it from you. I don't understand. Like, if you had a good grip on it, the dude wouldn't have been able to take it from you. That's all I have to say on that. But then there was like a lineman downfield where he's really close to the thing. Then they showed it with like their little gray area or whatever, the field highlight. And I thought, yeah, this is getting bad. Like, if you have to have all these specialized breakdowns of why a guy got a penalty, but then you can see a guy go in. I think it was the Lions game. My boy Hutch. He said that he caused a fumble. I don't know if you saw the play. I saw an interview of him after where he said he runs in and he runs past the quarterback and all he did was just slap down his hand on the quarterback's hand and immediately he saw the flag. And I'm thinking that the flag was like for holding or whatever. But he said like that's the second or third time they took a sack away from him with like some BS penalty of like hands to the face or like defensive holding or something. So he thought the worst, like, oh, the flag's right beside me. So they're calling it on me. Right. But the entire game is getting tackled. And I don't understand it. Anyone at home, I know you're protecting the quarterbacks. But some linemen, that guy from the Chiefs, did you see that guy? He leaves early every time. Like blatantly early. I'm probably going to ruin the game for you now. And I saw the same thing happen in the Broncos game, maybe. I can't remember what other game. I don't think it was the Cowboys game. Their tackle leaves before the ball is snapped because he knows he stinks and he is afraid he's going to get killed. Right? It might have been the Cowboys line, for all I know, the other one up against Parsons, right? How they don't call a false start, I don't know. But like there was one, I think it was the Broncos again, where the center lifted his head twice or something. They threw a flag on him. I don't know if you saw that one either. They were trying to like explain it like, oh yeah, the center intent to deceive. Meanwhile, the Chiefs guy is already back. His back's up against Mahomes' back before the snap just to make sure he's safe. He's like, I better get back there. I know we're passing. I'm about to get burnt. My life's on the line. I'm not gonna be able to feed my kids. I better get back. Come on, get a head start. As soon as I hear set, I'm going back, baby. Not waiting for the hut at all. And it's hard to watch. And I don't remember that happening in the past. But now that I've seen it, I can't unsee it. So it's like if you watch a replay, you see the tackle leaving early. Search it online, dude. I'm sure you can find it. It could be like a coaching thing for you. Where you're like, that's what you shouldn't do. Right? Why are the guys leaving early? I don't understand it. It drives me nuts because now I can't like watch a game. And same with the holding. I get it that they don't want the quarterback getting creamed. But I think it would make the game more exciting, or at least we would see some better play designs. It seems like a lot of the time the guys are just running like fades. Or like, what was the one? Was it Jamar Chase? Like his big catch last night was kind of just him lazily coming in like a fake slant and then curving back out. And I thought, how's the defender just not staying with him? Like at that point, they just give up because the quarterback stinks. And they're like, well, I don't have to like be on him the whole game. I don't want to tire myself out. Right? He's never going to throw it over here. I feel like that's what happens. So I don't know. It was a very, very eventful weekend. More for injuries and officiating, I think. And I feel like that's all I'm talking about lately. Like I'm not even talking about like great play. Like Pickens, big shout out to him. Made a bunch of great catches. Awesome game. They couldn't get the win. I don't understand how after every Cowboys like big play, they show Jerry Jones celebrating in the box. Have you ever seen them show a Steelers owner box shot like celebrating? Rarely, right? Like they show me Jerry Jones like every big play. Did they show the Packers guys? No. I mean, I know I'm an owner. Like they didn't show me at home cheering it on. Like, come on, you guys, hurry up to the line. We're running out of time. We got to get the win. We don't want to tie these jabronis. But nah, Jerry Jones crying in the box because they tied. Show it. Roll it. He has to be getting up there to where like he's on his last hurrah. It's like Phil Knight right now at Oregon. Going back to the Penn State game, like he's throwing everything he has into Oregon. Their guys looked mean. They look ferocious out there. And I just keep thinking, all right, I wonder how they're going to blow it this year. Right? They've been so close so many times. It's like, man, if the Ducks would have did their job last year, Ohio State never would have won. They could have got their first national championship. No, they're like, we're not going to show up in the playoffs. Psh, we got the regular season win in the Big Ten championship. That's good enough for our program. But you know Phil Knight, dude, he wants a national championship. I don't think he cares about any other sport, really. I mean, he's helped the other sports, but the way he's like trying to help the football team, it's like when, was it Pickens at Oklahoma State? Was like throwing money around, trying to get it before he passed. He's like, this is my last chance, and they couldn't get it done. In Oregon, he's like, I'm getting up there. We have to get it. We have to get it soon. Dan Lanning looked like he was out of it after the game. I don't know what he was hopped up on, dude. But it was like, that's not a normal guy right there. Like, I saw other people commenting, so I know I wasn't the only one. But man, come on. Hopefully he gets the help he needs out there. It wasn't as bad as like Sarkisian, right? Before he got his his issues out in the open. But it was like, Dan Lanning does not look normal right now. I said the same thing when Harbaugh was like down on his, whatever he was on. It seemed like he was on medication that one year. Was it the COVID year where they did really bad? And he looked like a robot out there. And it's like, what's up with them? He's like on sedatives out there on the sideline. He's not out there yelling, throwing his clipboard, doing whatever, getting penalties on him. And so you need to find that balance, I think. But I know before we get into some more college stuff, the coaching stuff is just, the youth coaching is just getting insane to the point that I don't know what to do. Because like there was a guy that complained about people playing goalies, right? In 4-on-4. And when we played his team this year, of course he had a goalie out there. So I go to play the game this past weekend, right? We're playing a totally different team. This guy stays to coach. He's like, he must have known a couple of the players. He stayed as like a shadow coach. And I don't know if he saw like me coaching, but then they went out and they put a goalie out there. And I thought, this is not going to help the kids. And it's not that like, it's not that we weren't going to win. Cause I think I talked about, we had a couple guys out and I'm more concerned that like, I like to rotate pretty heavily, right? Let's get a lot of kids experience because that's how they're going to have fun. And we try to teach them pass the ball, run, like don't go crazy with it. But of course, still won. And it could have been a lot worse because when you're having 4-on-3, basically, it's like a reverse power play. It's almost like my team's, because they're playing with a goalie and I'm not, my team's on the power play the entire game. Right? Because if they get the ball and they try to get it into my zone where they can score, it's 3-on-4. My team can just easily stop it and get it back out. And so the entire game is on their half of the field. And then, of course, then they don't want to switch at halftime. And it's like, come on. At some point, and I don't even know who we're playing. So it's like, it's driving me nuts a little bit. And I don't know what I could do better. I mean, we're winning. I mean, maybe we'll lose a couple games. I don't know. But right now, it's kind of like our guys are celebrating, and I can't even feel bad because you're like trying not to like rub it into the other team. You can tell like they're upset, but it's like, come on, you guys aren't even giving your kids a chance to succeed. I mean, at this age, they're all kind of evenly balanced, right? Every team has like a bunch of group of guys, and they're randomly putting it out there. So I don't know. I was a little disappointed that it happened again, because when our kids are just hammering, it got to the point where we were hitting so many shots at their goalie left the box. Like they had blocked like 5 shots in a row, and then finally she just walked off. Right? And then we scored right after. I was like, yeah. And you know how like the kids do it, like they don't want to get hit, so like they cross their arms and kind of turn to the side. That's what happened. But there was no cheering from the other team's parents this game. And I didn't have enough guys to like sub out either. So like I have guys that are like, Coach, I need a break. And I'm like, everybody does. You gotta just stay out there. I don't know what to tell you.
You probably look like Captain Cutthroat. You're like, you stay out there and you crush them.
When it was raining, and I'm like, you got to sit on the ground. When you come out, you got to sit down and rest because we don't have any subs. Because I thought I was going to have at least one more, but I think I had 5 or 6 maybe. So like we had a rotation. Whoever was getting tired, I'm just constantly rotating out. So we didn't play. Everyone played every position pretty much, and we couldn't do like any of our stuff. We were practicing like different sets just because it was like our break weekend. So a lot of kids were on vacation, and no one was even back for practice yesterday. So we'll see how it goes. Officiating has been good. Like I don't have any complaints about that, but it's tough whenever they're like kids. Cause I feel like the high schoolers, they're used to probably their own roles. And it's like, yeah, the teams really shouldn't have a goalie. But then what am I supposed to say? You know, like, hey, probably shouldn't have a goalie out there. Your team, we have like 80 shots on goal to your 1, right? I don't know what to tell you, but that's my update. You have any updates you want to share?
Yeah. So had the highs and the lows this weekend because with our varsity team, we started out playing really well and hit some. It was one of those games where we needed to throw the ball to win because they were bringing pressure, and we started hitting a couple throws and guys made some plays. I thought, oh, we're gonna get up on them and we're just gonna cruise. And we were up 2 scores at one point and just allowed them to linger, and ended up they came back and put a 2-point conversion on to go up 21-20, and we ran out of gas at the end, which was only amplified by the bus ride home where I was pissed off at Florida State and having to play on Friday like a bunch of idiots, and they choked their game away in overtime. So made a bad situation worse, followed by the positive of we go into our game against United Valley, and this was for our level was determining playoff seeding. We'd qualified at 5-0, but it was, are we going to be a 2 seed or are we going to be a 5 seed? It depended on how things were going to shake out. So thankfully our kids handled business, but it reminded me of an old school Portage game because our fans were absolutely out of control. Because United scored a touchdown during our game, and then they just allowed the clock to run in between the touchdown and the 2-point conversion. And like I just made a mental note of like, okay, if you're just going to run the clock during that time, then so be it. But I'm going to expect it to be run equally when we get up, because the reputation from other coaches was they're going to, once they get a lead, they just run the clock the whole time and take up a lot of time in the huddle. So we ended up getting up some points, and then all of a sudden they're like, "Oh, wait, we got to add more time." There was an issue with the clock. I was like, "There wasn't an issue with it when you scored your first touchdown and ran 3 minutes off the clock." And they're like, "No, that was an untimed down." Like, oh no, you can't play it both ways. So we score a touchdown, our second touchdown, and put the 2-point conversion on. We're up 14-6. And on the scoreboard, they just made it 13. I was like, well, clearly they can't do math. So I know what the score is, and I'm just going to report it to the league as such. But our fans are screaming from the sideline, "It's tell them to make it 14." I was like, I just yell, I know. They clearly don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, that's funny.
They, a normal officiating crew for our level is 4 refs. For whatever reason, one of the guys didn't show up. They're like, we're just going to make do with 3. Now, mind you, this was the place last year where I'd finished my flag game, and then we're sitting there waiting for the officials to show, and nobody came. So I ended up having to go off the bench to officiate the first half of this game before the other officials. Are like, I'm not doing this for free. Like, if you're paying these other officials, I deserve half the game's check.
So you had to do that again this past weekend.
So they kind of just were joking. We're like, oh, we only have 3. We should have 4. I said, you guys still owe me money from last year. I was like, don't tell me your sob story. And they're like, oh yeah, that's right. You did ref for us till we got here. I was like, yeah, I need my money.
Yeah, that's funny because that did happen. Is that the same place?
Yeah, same place.
But you didn't help this year?
So, well, I did not volunteer my services, but because of the way that the game was managed, I was more vocal than I normally am for some of the things, just because it was so blatantly biased one way. And I followed that up with the following game, which ended up being major playoff implications on the line. The 5th, 6th grade team ended up losing 8-0. And there was a play that they ran where it was very similar to the old Cleveland Browns play with Johnny Manziel, where the concept of it is there's a guy that's doesn't look like he's in on the play, and then all of a sudden runs a streak down the field and gets behind the coverage. Well, because of how we want our kids to be better, we have our games filmed so that nobody can say, in the event of something crazy happening, because like you already identified, youth sports can be nuts, with parents being crazy and just things happening with other coaches. It's always better to just have film that you can go back and say, watch it for yourself and see what's happening. Well, you watch the film and the coach is assisting the kid in sending him in the direction he needs to run, and they complete a pass that ends up being the game deciding play. So inevitably it knocks the 5th, 6th grade team out of the playoffs and just creates this whole domino effect of other teams now that are in, and setting a precedence of just running bush league plays when it was clearly not a legal thing and not in the spirit of what was going on.
Yeah, I faced that before where the kid was, there was one of the games we had played, there's no offsides in the 4 soccers. So they were just sending a kid down the sideline, away from everybody, and dumping the ball to him down in the corner, knowing we don't have a goalie, right? So then I have to put one of my guys on him saying look, your entire thing is to stay on that one kid that they're trying to pass to because they know he can dribble enough to score. When he goes on the sideline, ignore where the ball is, just chase him. And then that's when the other parents are he's in his face, blah, 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 grabbing him, doing all this other stuff. And it's look, I know what you're doing. I've seen sports, man. Like, it might work on other teams that like where the guys just volunteering because their kids playing, right? But if I'm going to volunteer, I'm going to at least hope to coach right. But some of these parents, I mean, or coaches even, like that's their entire life, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you made a point. You're gotta see what Florida State's up to. Like I got other stuff I got going on. If we win, awesome. Pump for the kids. Like had a kid that hasn't scored all year, probably hasn't scored in his life, was able to position him. I've been telling him like, you need to do this. Like get on the other side of the goalie. When the goalie misses or tries to block it, it's going to go right to you. He pumped it and he was so pumped. And like I had the same thing happen in the spring. And like those are the ones where it's like, all right, making a kid's like day where he's running over to high five you after, right? Not the teammates like running over to coach. Like that makes it worth it sometimes. It makes it worth the craziness. Because then you look at the other coaches and you're like, your kids aren't high fiving you, dog. You're also not winning. So I don't know. Maybe it's just the whole vibe over there. Because I still don't, I try to treat it like some of the stuff I've done playing like sports. I've only really played basketball, football, and baseball. Right? I never played soccer. But like we do the team huddle and like the breakdown where we say our team name after. And I finally saw one other team that we've practiced with. I mean, we practice with the same teams every week. I finally saw one other team copy us and do the same thing this week. And I thought, good. I wish everyone would have like some team unity, right? It's good for the kids. Cause I tell them, they'll say like, hey, I seen one of my teammates at school. I'm like, would you tell them hi? Right. That's our team. Like you see them, you should talk to each other at school. Like that's how you make friends, man. Cause if you're into soccer and they're into soccer, guess what? You're gonna be playing with the same kids, even some of the ones from their team. Eventually kids will drop off, right? They'll go specialize and play like only baseball, whatever. Because there's a baseball league going on right now. So one of my guys, I'm trying to balance him playing. Luckily, the rain out caused him not to miss the game, and it's like great because we're low guys. We can't be missing more guys, right? Well, rain outs perfect in my book, but year round baseball and things are a thing. And so some of these kids, like it's competing with time management. And that's why I'm all for, like I've said it before, if a kid makes it to the college, go get your money. And I was very annoyed at that Penn State game where they ran that ad where it's like the Big Ten administration wants you to know to vote for that bill where the TV money won't really go to the players. We want to cap it, right? So we can pay our Olympic athletes. Bro, no one's even watching those Olympic athletes, right? You want them to get paid? Make the Olympic team pay for them. I mean, I'm putting it out there. It's not that I don't want people to be paid, but NIL is name, image, likeness, unless I messed it up, right? They're paying the top earners. Nobody is tuning in to watch one of those non-revenue sports at a college. Right? They're called non-revenue for a reason. Like if I was playing, you're getting paid with your scholarship. Schools aren't taking your scholarship away. That's still a good chunk of money. Right? I know you're practicing hard. You're doing all this stuff. You can still work your own deals. But don't take money away from the TV contracts and that's why I'm okay with, and I've been debating this with people, especially down here in ACC country, where Ohio State's mad and, Michigan's right behind it. I always send you that thing with the Friday night games, like giving you a hard time because Michigan's AD said, like, we're not playing Friday nights, dog. I don't care how much money the TV contract's willing to pay. We're not playing Friday nights. And only a handful of teams are able to pull that off, right? Because, like, they're going to, Ohio State, I think said the same thing, and maybe Penn State, but, like, Michigan State tried it, and they're like, sit back down. You're playing Friday night, buddy. I think they already had one or two Friday night games this week or this year. So it's like perfect.
And then, I mean, I think that played like not that I would want to continue the Friday games, but if you're gonna have a team play on Friday, like I almost feel like make it just be one of those FCS games that nobody cares about anyhow.
Well, see, that's
like,
the point.
Don't make it.
The
don't
NFL.
Make it,
what was it? I don't know what the act is. There's an act where the NFL can't compete on Friday nights because of high school football. How college got around it, I don't know. But to your point, yeah, if they want it on TV, make it a Sunbelt game. How many people are watching the Sunbelt? Like, we see the ratings, it's not that many every week. Put them on Friday. Let them promote their school, especially with NIL type stuff. That's how you can get Heisman type hype for some of these guys. Like Genty last year, put Boise on Friday night. Thursday used to be the game for Mac. And then, you know why? That was before it was even Mac. That was Big East football, baby. And that was the only game in town before the NFL stole Thursday night. So you had big time like Pitt, West Virginia playing, Rutgers before the Big Ten, South Florida, I remember watching like on Thursday nights. And so then it got kind of pushed over when the Big East kind of blew up and they're like, we'll make it Maction, right? Mac will play on Thursday night. People stopped watching. The NFL realized people liked Thursday night football, stole it. So now anytime a team plays on Thursday from college, like no one watches that game. Realistically, like you get the first Thursday before NFL. That's it. Now it's going to be some other game that I even forget college is on with the NFL game. And so Friday is the same thing. Now they're moving these other conferences, like Big Ten has a Friday night game sometime, Big 12, like Fox usually does them. I was honestly surprised to see Florida State on Friday. And I think they should have said the same thing. And I know ACC hates them, right? So they're not going to get the preferential treatment.
There's no clear way to show that you hate someone than to have it aligned where with Virginia, and I said it last week, it wasn't going to be a cakewalk game because they have a really high-powered offense. That it was going to give them some problems.
I mean, I'll say it. I don't think Virginia's that good. I think Florida State just caught a bad game, and I was joking with you about the rankings. They ranked Virginia. That's an absolute joke. There's no way Virginia should be ranked ahead of undefeated Louisville. I know they beat Florida State. They also lost to NC State. NC State just lost to Virginia Tech. NC State's not good. NC State might only win 4 games. And they beat Virginia. That Virginia team is not good. They're not going to make the playoffs. They're not going to compete in the ACC. They got lucky. Florida State should have won that game. Right? I was surprised by how fast Virginia rushed the field. Because I don't think we got a clear shot. I know the guy intercepted it, right? So it really wouldn't have mattered. But you had no chance. Like, what if there was a late hit on the QB? I mean, there were guys flipping him off immediately. That was the craziest, fastest field rush that I've ever seen. I think I saw someone, I don't know, it's probably someone major. See, people have probably seen it. But someone tweeted, like, you couldn't have filled the field faster if they were paying people, like, to coordinate it. Like, if they had an event planner saying, like, everyone's going to rush the field, we're going to give you, like, $20 each. Like, no, that was insane. Like, the players had to have been trampled. Like, I guarantee people were getting pushed or whatever, right? I mean, we've seen the video footage of Castellanos getting a guy in his face almost immediately. And then there were rumors about Florida State guys, like, getting into fights with fans. It's like, I don't think they were fighting them, if that was true. They're probably pushing them because how insane, you didn't get any time to get off the field. Most of the time when that happens, the student section is in one corner of the field, right? And then they rush, or maybe one side, depending on the field. But they usually go to the team that they're cheering for. You don't run out and start taunting the other team. And then the only fan, like, defining the school is like dumb because it's kind of just like a promotion thing at this point. Like, hey, they fined them $50,000. Awesome. Virginia probably loves it, dude, because no one knows who Virginia is. Everyone's like, who? Virginia Tech? Virginia? Yeah, I get them confused. I guarantee a lot of people are saying that. And so them beating Florida State was kind of just like a big middle finger to Florida State saying, like, in your face, dudes, in your face, you stink. Like, we don't want you winning the championship. It seems like they want Miami to be winning it. And we'll find out this week. What are your thoughts on that game?
I mean, my stance on it still remains that I don't think Miami is that good. I mean, if we're being honest, Bobby Bowden has as many bowl victories as Miami's had since 2008. Because they have 1 and he has 2, and he's been dead now for a while. So we keep saying Miami's back, but they have nothing to show for it.
But see, those stats can come back to haunt you with the expanded playoff because Notre Dame didn't even have a New Year's Six win ever. And then they almost won the championship last year.
Well, and I think, one of the bigger deciding factors into this week is which team can get a defensive stop or can get a turnover. I think if you can get that, that's going to play a real heavy hand in how this game plays, because I feel like with Miami hitting the portal as hard as they have for their quarterback play, they're getting quality guys to make that, to fill that void. It's not like they're swinging and missing on guys. They're finding people that can play and have serious contributions already, and they're using that plug and play free agency model, and it's working. So it's not going to be a pushover game, but I think if they handle business and actually with a full week of preparation, I feel like they're back on schedule and handle business.
And that's where I don't even know. You brought up Miami not being that good. I don't know if any team is head and shoulders above anybody else. Ohio State has looked okay. They haven't looked the greatest, right? They struggle with Texas. Texas hasn't looked good. Florida State killed Bama, and then Bama beat Georgia. So that's where I think they have to rank Virginia, because otherwise you can't rank Alabama that high, right? Because if Florida State can't lose to like a crappy team, because then they'd have to have Alabama fall, but they also need Georgia to stay up. So the mental like gymnastics people are probably doing, when instead Indiana is behind Penn State. Did you send me that graphic? I don't know if it was you or someone else, where it's like Penn State has no Power 4 wins. Either does Texas, and yet Indiana, undefeated, killed ranked in Illinois, killed them, right? Ranked behind them, because it's all preseason hype. And I said it before the year. This is the year for Penn State. They followed the Michigan blueprint from 23. They followed the Ohio State blueprint from 24. Both teams, and you can go back and listen to our shows. I called it going into that year. That's the year for Michigan. They used NIL, got everybody to come back. Off the field distractions from the media and everything. Didn't matter. Won the national championship. Ohio State had all their guys come back, right? Captain Jack Sawyer could have went pro. Came back. Everybody came back, and they got big transfers from like Ole Miss and Alabama, right? Struggled. They almost didn't even make the playoffs, honestly. They have 2 losses, whatever. They lost to Michigan at the end of the year and then turned it around and won the championship. They responded. Penn State has to respond. They let their other quarterback go to Missouri. Guess what? Missouri's undefeated right now. So if Allard wants to really prove that he's the guy, I was alarmed late in that game. I don't know what is up with like Penn State not wanting him to throw the ball. What I think we saw it in overtime where he threw the pick. That's the kind of stuff where they used to talk about like JJ, like, well, he's not throwing the ball enough. But when it came down on the game line, JJ was allowed to rip it. Allard, it seems like he's not allowed to rip it. They threw that one pass that he threw a perfect pass. And I thought, why aren't they stretching the field more? Like Penn State needs to come back in this game. Instead, they're just running the ball, barely trying to get back into it. And then finally, they go to overtime. Franklin, I think, should have just went for 2. I know people would disagree with me on this. And I mean, I think we talked about it where I thought the Ravens going for 2, whatever, on their comeback would have been smart early. But Penn State needed 2 touchdowns. For them, I didn't feel it going on after the first touchdown to go for 2. Right? But that last touchdown, right before going into overtime, there wasn't a lot of time left. I thought they had the momentum. Oregon was toasted, dude. Their line had their hands on their hips. They have Allard. He's running all over them. Run like a quarterback option run. Right? Maybe dump a tight end out in the flat or whatever. Give him one more outlet if you need it. I think they would have won in regulation on the 2-point conversion. By going overtime, Oregon had outplayed you the entire game. Look at the stats. Penn State shouldn't even had a chance to go to overtime, let alone win it. Go for two. Like, you know the stats. You know, well, we're getting our butt kicked, but right now we have them gassed. Like, Oregon made some dumb decisions to let Penn State get back into it. Go for two. Heck, even in overtime, did Penn State get the ball first? No, they got it second, right? Because then they missed. Or no, they did get it first, and they scored. Go for two, put the pressure on. I mean, Oregon scored right away. And as soon as Oregon scored, I knew this game's over. That was the helmet to helmet, I think. Where it's like, well, we can't call the helmet to helmet because then Oregon will definitely score and win this game. Like, it was like they knew. They're like, let's make it a little bit tougher. But I don't even think the Big Ten would care if Oregon just stopped choking, right? I've said it. I don't care if the Big Ten wins, as long as it's not Ohio State. I don't want them to win again, right? Let some of these Big Ten teams keep winning, because I know a lot of Michigan fans are going to hate me for saying this, probably Ohio State fans too. But for how many years? 20 years, it seems like. All you've been told, they overlooked the ACC winning it. Oh, ACC wins it with like Florida State, Clemson in the teens, right? Not a big deal. Everyone just keeps talking about how the SEC is the best, right? No one can compete with the SEC. If the Big Ten wins 3 national championships in a row, like I feel, because you've said it, doesn't seem like any team at the top is really that good. LSU ranked that high was a joke. It was a joke. Clemson stinks. LSU's best win is nobody. Right? They struggled against Clemson. Syracuse killed Clemson. And then Syracuse went and got killed. Clemson stinks. Like, I'm going to say it again. That's not a quality win for anybody. So all these SEC teams that they had ranked high based on these preseason rankings, they're falling apart right now. And I wouldn't be afraid to play any of them. Heck, even Notre Dame, I know they have 2 losses, but they throttled Arkansas. I bet they would have some SEC teams scared. Like, I think if they get rolling, remember, I think CJ Carr, this is his first year starting at quarterback, right? So if they can somehow back their way in, I wouldn't be surprised if they throttled Georgia again. They have a great running game, pounding people. Who knows? If you're an SEC fan, I don't know how you can look around the league and say, well, we're going to win the national championship this year. They could do it. I mean, Ole Miss looks pretty good. You never know when the playoffs hit based on matchups and things like that. Alabama could get hot. They have the talent. Georgia has the talent. I don't know what Kirby Smart's doing. I don't know how Georgia can't beat Alabama. They beat them one time since what I text you, 2008? Dude, that's like almost 20 years they have one win. Michigan has 2 wins over Bama in the past like 2 years. Florida State has a win against them. This year, Georgia still can't beat them. That's how you know. That's like a little brother status right there. Kirby Smart, whatever you're doing, like it's like the James Franklin stat. At some point, when you only have one win against the top team, not even in your conference or whatever, like, what are you doing? I mean, no, I know Georgia had a crazy run, but I thought that they had beat Bama at least one other time, but no, they only beat them in that national championship rematch because the Alabama stud receiver got hurt. I forget which stud receiver it was that year. But remember? He got hurt leading up to the game and missed the national championship game.
Yep.
After he tore him up in the SEC championship game, I think is what it was. So Bama would have had to beat them twice. And it just didn't happen. And that was crazy. So who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? But yeah. It's been a crazy week. We're finally back into it. I'm trying to get a
thing that really pisses me off with the whole Florida State loss is that I feel like they let ESPN off the hook because everything was set for them to have the game day cast go to Tallahassee for that matchup, and with that loss, it was announced like almost immediately. We're going to Vanderbilt, Alabama.
Oh, is that the game they went to? I knew they went to Alabama. I didn't know who they were playing.
Yeah, they're playing Vanderbilt. So like you're looking at a lesser top 25 matchup.
Well, honestly, I can't even watch game day anymore. I don't know if it's McAfee or if it's just like they just don't seem like they have the top notch like breakdowns like they used to. It's kind of just like a carnival. Honestly, I kind of like the big noon, and funnily enough, I think they're going to Michigan this weekend for the Wisconsin game, which I don't know why they would go to that, because Wisconsin quarterback might still be injured, and they have not looked good unless they're there to like watch Fickle get fired. Because that's the one thing where I don't know how much more they're going to have. I know his buyout's supposed to be insane when they hired him from Cincinnati, but I want to say I didn't look it up to write it down, but I think one of the Wisconsin former players is like one of the hot coaches down in like New Mexico or somewhere. So rumor is that they want to force Fickle out and try to hire him maybe as early as this year. And they have a brutal schedule. I mean, Michigan might be one of their more winnable games. I think they play Ohio State and Oregon and Indiana. That's like 3 top 10 teams right there. I don't know what else. I don't know if they play Penn State, but Wisconsin's schedule is getting brutal. They play like those couple teams back to back to back. And that's why I'm wondering if their quarterback's like a game time decision and he had already tweaked it trying to come back against Maryland, do you even risk him against Michigan? Because if he comes back again and tweaks it, Michigan has one of the best pass rushes in the country. Do you want him to get hurt again? I mean, heck, Ohio State and Oregon do too. So like, I don't know what you would do then at that point, right? Play him against Michigan, hope he doesn't get hurt. And if he does, then you have the built-in excuse. Well, our guy keeps getting hurt every time we put him out there. I don't know what to tell you. So the Fickle excuse, I just don't know. Like some of these teams, because even Matt Roll, and it goes back to Franklin's like comments after the game where he finally owned it. Because if you remember when he started losing to Michigan, he made the comments like, well, they had our signs, the same as like Matt Roll. And I feel like that's such a loser excuse. Like, oh, maybe that's why we lost. We don't really know why we lost. It couldn't be because I can't beat a top 10 team ever. Like that couldn't be the reason, right? I think he's only won 4 or 2 top 10 matchups in like how many years has he been there? He coached against Hoke, dude. So he's been there for a long time. That's like 3 Michigan coaches ago. 2 coaches ago? 3 coaches? I don't know how you count the coaches ago. But I was at that game. He blew it under the lights. Brady Hoke beat him. So funny. They tried to come back and kick an onside kick, and I thought, is Penn State really going to is they going to come back? Like, that was a Brady Hoke thing I expected, a loss. But no, we couldn't beat Nebraska when I was there, couldn't beat Maryland. But I got to see us beat Penn State and James Franklin. It's like the cherry on top. We beat Penn State and then hired Harbaugh that offseason. Classic. But who knows? Keep making excuses, Franklin. It's not you, dude. Not you at all. I wonder, because remember, like Harbaugh got suspended. He missed a couple of their big games that season, their championship season. Do you think if Franklin got himself suspended, if Penn State would have a better chance?
It wouldn't hurt.
He could try it. Like when they go to play Ohio State, like he just goes crazy the week before and gets himself suspended. And then the team
could can't shake the Vanderbilt out of his system.
Dude, I don't know. Vanderbilt's doing better than him.
I wonder why, because he's not there anymore.
Well, Vanderbilt's quarterback has the confidence. I think that's what Penn State's missing, right? At some point, it's mental. And if the head coach isn't giving your players confidence to win, they're never going to win. Same thing with the Detroit Tigers. My last thing. I forgot to bring this up in the middle of the show, but them longtime supporters of our show, the Tigers, we were hoping that they'd make the playoffs. They had like a 15.5 game lead, and they choked it away, lose the division to Cleveland. And I thought, this is going to be the most horrible choke job we've ever seen. They somehow get into the playoffs because Houston choked worse, right? And they beat Cleveland game 1. So shout out to you guys, the Tigers. Hopefully they can win and get back, because for a while they were the hottest team in baseball and everyone's batting average just dropped off. like the last 2 or 3 months of the season, all their top hitters weren't hitting. But if Skubal can keep pitching hot, you never know. All you need is like 1 or 2 hot pitchers that no one can hit. He had 14 strikeouts or something today? I probably read the stat wrong. But if you can just mow them down and your team can't hit, they won 2-1. All it takes, baby, is 1 run. If you can keep them shut down. Baseball is a crazy game. So shout out to the Tigers. Hopefully they get it done. Anything you want to talk about before we wrap up?
Yeah, that's about it for this week.
You want to talk about Florida State anymore? Let it all out?
Shut up.
That's because you're worried. You're worried about the Miami game. I want you to say it.
No, I'm not worried about the Miami game. Although I am worried that I saw Michigan got a similar treatment where they go through the week and they're like, oh, you know what? Just fall back a spot for no reason.
Well, the funny thing is we lost to Oklahoma, and I was waiting to see what happened. Oklahoma's now a top 5 team, but quality loss doesn't matter if you're in the Big Ten. Right? We beat Nebraska. I saw Nebraska isn't even receiving votes anymore. They're trying to wrap it around. If we beat Wisconsin, bad. Or heck, maybe it's a close game. I don't know. Where are they going to rank us next week? Will it matter? I don't even know what our schedule is. I did see that the playoff predictor ESPN has, Michigan has a 32% chance now, and Penn State's down to 22%. Because that was their big signature game, and they blew it. Michigan only has... Well, I guess we beat Nebraska. That was one of the ones they said could trip us up. I think Wisconsin, Washington, and then is it USC in there somewhere? And then Michigan State. So if Michigan get through this run, I'm assuming those playoff odds are going to go through the roof. Because I don't know if we play Indiana, and I don't think we play Penn State. It would just come down to Ohio State at home. But you can probably lose 2 losses as we saw last year and still get in. So, see what happens. Florida State's not out of it yet. I joked that they're eliminated already. But
mathematically they're not, but the committee's already your quarterback got hurt once. You have a loss.
Yeah, you guys went undefeated and didn't get in. They're not going to put you in now.
You're on your own.
So, all right. We'll see what happens. Hopefully Florida State wins. I don't want to see you have a meltdown on the show next week.
Or do you?
I don't want to see another man cry. Well, thanks for listening, and we will see you next week.